Again, Kevin Culp back at you from Supermicro. In the previous video, I got wrapped around a command of generating that configuration template command, which resulted in there. I was able to research it and come up with what the exact command is. So let's look at that command again. And it's this command right here, sm gen-config-tmp, and that's the number 1, right? Not L, it's number 1 for a temporary 1 file. And so let's look at the file, right? So if we type out the file here, or cat it out, you can see there's some Chinese characters and different things in there. So we basically have to fill out this template file with, load it with the important data, right? And so let me show you what I'm talking about, these certificates. So we're going to be, instead of basically cutting and pasting these certificates into your file there, I'm going to show you a sample file what you would see. So instead of having to cut and paste these, and there's what we call column delineation here, like a 4-space rule here, you might be challenged, right, to be able to do that. So fortunately, the developers have written a script for us to add that information in once we complete our filling out of the appropriate top level stuff, right? Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to VI or vim the file. And what we want to do here is, the first thing is we want to put in our control plane IP address. And so what is that? That's 172.24.199.146. That's a node that we're currently on, is the control plane node. And our harbor node is also going to be where we're going to have a harbor server is on this particular VM host, right? So we're going to plug in 172.24.199.146. Incidentally, if you're building out a number of these developer consoles, you can just create it once and then point all of those control plane deployments to that one harbor server. And then you don't have to repeat or load any of the harbor information. It's just loaded there, and then you just point to that location, and it's able to get the Helm charts and harbor information appropriately. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add in the port. And the port is going to be 3 with 3 zeros and a 3. So 3 and 3 zeros and a 3. And then we're going to use the harbor account of admin, and also it's harbor, could spell it right here, harbor, and then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Okay, and we're going to add in also the CA here, and the CA is going to be /root/ harbor -CA .crt. So that's our certificate for harbor, gives us access. And then we're going to also put the domain information in here of http://smc.harbor.com. All right. And the rest of the information we don't fill out. And so now we need to run that magical script to add in their certificates so that we are now completed this file. Then you're going to run this environment setting file which will prep the environment, and then you do your actual install of SDX. All right, so we'll save this guy by doing an escape WQ pound. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to run this magical script or a manipulation of this file and take out the Chinese characters and do different things. So we're going to delete the Chinese comments, paste and align cube config, and automatically generate a new conf.temp file. So this is the command that's been provided from our developers, which is basically a manipulation type string. And then it creates it, right? It appends the certificate. So let's go look at that file again and see what it looks like, right? So we're going to, and lo and behold, we have all of the certificates added in for both the client certificate, client key data, and also the authoritative data. And so we've got to come back in here and make one more change. So let's go into Vim again. And what we want to do here is we want to come down and change the server information here, not to be the loopback address, which is going to be our IP address. 172.24.199.146. And then we're going to escape and then Shift:/WQ bang to save it. And let's just make sure that our changes did take effect. And yes, they did. So we're all set. We've generated this configuration template file. We use the a string manipulation to add certificates in, and then also aligned it for the 4-space rule from the left-hand side. Make sure it's comma delineated there. And then we also plugged in the information for our harbor location and ports. So that is in a nutshell what we have here for setting up the environment. So the next phase of this is going to be running what we call a setting environment variable, which allows us to create what we call registry pods and do the actual install. So I need to do a little bit more prep work here from the standpoint of NFS. So I've got to do some research here to make sure I've got the right registry pool of storage pools that we can point to, so that we can take all our endpoints, which are our instantiation of containers and VM images, and store them into that storage pool location through NFS. So the next video will create that Etsy FS tab with all the appropriate information, cut and paste it in to the Etsy FS tab, and then essentially reboot our system to make sure that the new disks are seen. And then we'll kind of go from there. So let me dig out the location of the FS tab location of where we have this. So let's pull that up on our existing development console that we have for test and make sure we're pointing to the right storage pool of resources. So I'm going to pull that out and cheat a little bit here. And what we're going to do is log in here. And we're going to go to the Etsy location in FS tab. and cat out the FS tab. And you can see here, I'll share with you that information once I cut and paste it over into the Etsy file. So let's do an Etsy uh, and then and do a nano VS tab, and it's empty with just our one VM. And then what I'm going to do here is simply cut and paste the NFS mount points for us of our discs. And there they are. We have 15 of them, and we're continuing to add our pools of storage pools. This is our NFS server, which is the 172.24.199.22, and then our different locations of where it is and our mount points. So we'll save this and then issue a reboot of the VM to make sure that we can see those disks on the next reboot, right? Because we want to make sure that we test that, right? That we don't have a mount go into what we call maintenance mode and these are not correctly mounted. And so if you had a power loss on that hypervisor, you certainly want those storage pools to always be available. So it's always good to test on a reboot to make sure that they mount correctly. So this concludes this video. Thanks for joining today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.